church, so I think I should be used to it by now. Thank you very much, Open Arts, for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here. It's my first time in the synagogue, so it's good to get out. We're different. This poem I'm going to start with is Reasons I Love the Credit Crunch. Number one, I just find it more fun to be really tight, decide what I like by how cheap it is. I like cheap thrills. I've always been no frills, and now everyone is. So it's cool to be a miser. It's deemed much wiser, and now we swap tips on how to mend zips. Number two, redundancy can be cool. Get you out of a hole, straight onto the dole, and you can reassess what makes you feel blessed, what you do best, instead of stuck in that shit job rut that's too good to leave but too crap to like. Think of all the extra time for your bike. And it's not even your fault. Practically every adult could become unemployed, so be overjoyed that it's totally accepted. Parents won't question it. Number three, everything is actually cheaper. Yeah, here's the sweetener. Fantastically, we live simply, so that others can simply live. Find a way to sieve the dust from the gold. Treasure what is old. Reuse and use again. Make do and mend. Number four, I live in a squat, and the water's not hot, yet it's deemed very prudent. Though I'm not a student, it's allowed, even while employed, because it's all so uncertain. Every day it could worsen. For me, a permanent contract seems further than the sack. It's like Santa Claus. It seemed there were laws that guaranteed he existed, but really, the grown-ups just fixed it to make us behave, help us be brave, a stability incentive to stop us being inventive. So let's embrace instability, revel in its ubiquity. Slightly lazy poet. So here's one from the back catalogue. I'll slightly work into the theme by saying that now with the credit crunch, a lot of people who want to come here either for work or to seek asylum now find the doors closed to them, and this is a poem about that. My best mate's a packy, and her jewellery's always tacky because we like it wacky, especially with the backy. We're notorious like Nagasaki. We're always chilling, eating, partying, because our company's never beaten. Now it's T-minus 6 months to deportation because she's not of this nation. Back to the Islamic Republic of, so she could hobnob with the rich but dim, living in Shia sin. May not face emaciation, but there's precious little emancipation, and her body would be wasting away with her heart. I'm sorry that they're kicking you out, no matter how loud you shout. The master of manipulation, the contorter of the curse. You won't get out of this with an empty purse. But the world has no borders. They're created by soldiers. England never applied to enter my Emerald Isle or carve up your subcontinent. That Victoria was a bent. So now there's a test to enter the English nest. The seat of empire, the global gatekeeper that designates the doctor a street sweeper because of lack of immigration paper. Without visas, this world would be safer. Thank you very much. My next one's got Torah and banking references. Notice I didn't say Old Testament there. Who said Free money is cheap. You gotta work for your keep. Show up every 2 weeks in person. Give the job centre a reason for being a slob, not having a job. But now there's an excuse. It's not drug abuse. It's the current financial climate. It's the companies that are behind it, the government that denied it, the banks that allowed it. We've had our years of prosperity. Now it's time for austerity. And if we'd listened to Joseph, who wasn't just a gloat in a coat, we'd know it wasn't just a show, that with 7 years of plenty comes 7 years of empty, and you need to save in time. But the ultimate crime is that we thought we were rich, when really we were just digging this ditch, a debt that we haven't even got to the bottom of yet. So what do? Government and crew, lower interest rates so borrowing never abates. I always loved to save. I felt I had to pave my own road in life. You can't fly someone else's kite. I remember when my dad took me by the hand and led me to the Halifax, and I didn't have stacks of cash, but I got a hippo piggy bank long before they sank. But when they floated, my dad was jolted, and he took me by the hand, made me understand that a building society is something more mighty. So we joined the only one on our street, the nationwide you can't beat, owned by customers, no shareholders, it can never be brought under by speculators that plunder. Another new one as well. Another short one. I wrote this poem when I was in Kenya, and I was standing on the roof of a school that had been built by a local entrepreneur in Western Kenya. And the way to do this, they'll build the first floor, and then they'll try and build the second floor, so that's where we're up on the roof. And he was pointing out all the houses, the mud houses where people didn't live anymore because they died from the HIV and AIDS pandemic. And it made me think about how